All right, let's get ready, everyone, because it's time to talk about revolutions, and we don't have much time. So let's jump right in. Before we dive into the major revolutions, we need to explore the three main factors that got everyone excited and ready for change. The first factor, and probably most important, was the rise of nationalism. Nationalism is the sense of unity among a group of people based on shared language, religion, customs, and often a desire for their own territory. This was a new idea during this time period. In earlier times, large empires like the Ottoman Empire or the Mongol Empire ruled over many different groups with no common ethnicity or language. However, during this period, people began to think that groups sharing the same culture and history should have their own land and be able to govern themselves. Some states tried to use this growing sense of nationalism to their advantage, trying to unite their people. They pushed nationalist ideas into schools, promoted public rituals, and even required military service to create unity. For example, in Russia, the government required the Russian language to be spoken everywhere in the empire. This attempt to promote unity through language backfired, especially in places like Ukraine, Poland, and Finland, where people strongly identified with their own languages and cultures. The forced use of Russian only made people more resistant to Russian rule. So, nationalism didn't always work as planned. The second cause of revolutions was widespread dissatisfaction with monarchs and imperial rulers. Throughout history, people have never liked being controlled by a powerful central government. While we'll focus on the Atlantic revolutions in this discussion, it's important to note that these revolutions were part of a wider rejection of authority. For instance, the Safavid Empire tried to impose heavy new taxes, leading to rebellion from nomadic groups on the empire's borders. Eventually, this resistance weakened the Safavid state, making it vulnerable to outside invasions. Similarly, the Wahhabi movement sought to reform Islam in the Ottoman Empire, contributing to its decline as well. The third cause of revolution was the rise of new political ideas and government systems. Enlightenment thinkers like Locke, Rousseau, and Montesquieu came up with new ways of thinking about government, centered around the idea of popular sovereignty. This concept argued that the power to govern should come from the people, and that government should be democratic. Liberalism, which focused on protecting civil rights, having a representative government, and allowing economic freedom, also played a major role in encouraging revolutions. Now that we understand the causes, let's look at the major Atlantic revolutions that were inspired by democratic ideals. First, there's the American Revolution, which began in 1776. The British had established 13 colonies in North America, and because Britain was far away, these colonies developed their own culture, government, and economy. But after the 7 Years' War, Britain's debt was huge, and it decided to impose taxes on the colonies to help pay for the war. This angered the colonists, who had enjoyed a great deal of freedom until then. Inspired by Enlightenment ideas, the American colonists fought for their independence. The Declaration of Independence, which focused on ideas of natural rights and popular sovereignty, was a key document in this revolution. With help from France, the United States won its independence in 1783. This victory became an important model for other nations seeking to overthrow oppressive governments and establish republics. Next, we have the French Revolution, which began in 1789. The French Revolution was influenced by the American Revolution, especially after French soldiers returned home inspired by democratic ideals. When King Louis XVI tried to tighten control over France to pay for war debts, the people rebelled, overthrowing the monarchy and establishing a republic. The French Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen, similar to the American Declaration, emphasized natural rights and popular sovereignty. The Haitian Revolution, which began in 1791, was another key event. Haiti, then a French colony, was the richest colony in the world, but the majority of its population was enslaved. When they heard about the French Revolution's calls for liberty and equality, they decided to fight for their freedom. Led by Toussaint Louverture, the enslaved Haitians defeated the French and established a second republic in the Western Hemisphere, after the United States, and the first black government in the Americas. The fourth major revolution was a series of Latin American revolutions. Colonies in Central and South America, which were controlled by Spain and Portugal, began to adopt Enlightenment ideas and resent the increasing control of their European rulers. The Creole class, made up of people of European descent born in the Americas, especially felt this resentment. They were frustrated by the higher status given to the peninsulars, who were born in Europe. In 1808, Napoleon invaded Spain and deposed the Portuguese king, creating an unstable political situation. This led to a series of revolutions across Latin America. Leaders like Simón Bolívar, who promoted Enlightenment ideals, led successful independence movements, and many Latin American countries formed republics. Finally, there were some other nationalist movements during this period that didn't lead to full revolutions, but still resulted in calls for greater self-rule or national unity. For example, in the Philippines, a Spanish colony, a movement for reform grew. Filipino students who studied in Europe brought back nationalist and Enlightenment ideas, leading to protests and eventually a revolution at the end of the century. Nationalism also played a key role in the unification of Italy and Germany. Before this period, both Italy and Germany were divided into many small states. But thanks to nationalist leaders and movements, these regions unified under single governments. In both cases, nationalism helped bring these fragmented areas together into unified nations.